Hi, and welcome to the Home Video Emporium. I'm your host, my name is Brendan, and with this series what I hope to accomplish is to catalog my entire collection of home video titles and determine which of these movies still belongs amongst my elite and esteemed collection and needs to be preserved for many years still to come, and which of these movies unfortunately may need to be purged so we can free up a little shelf space. I have unfortunately run out of room here on my shelving for home videos, and I would still like to add many more to the collection, and I kind of need to subtract a few before I can add a few. So, we're looking to get rid of about 30 to 50 by the end of the series, and if nothing else, this is a great time and excuse to go back and watch some movies I may not have seen in a while, and hopefully enjoy them all with you. Today's episode, 1936's Modern Times, written, directed, musically composed, and starring Charles Chaplin. This is the very first Charlie Chaplin movie that I had ever actually seen. I had actually watched quite a few silent movies before this. I had watched some of the German stuff, Lang and Murnau. I watched some D.W. Griffith. I watched The Voyage to the Moon and Great Train Robbery. So I had, I think I'd even seen maybe some Howard Lloyd and The General like Keaton. So I had watched silent movies. It just took me a long time to get to Chaplin. Maybe 10 years ago or so was the first time I got around to watching any of his movies. And finally, when I did, obviously his movies, some of them are on the Sight and Sound kind of list of greatest movies of all time. So I checked out Modern Times. This was a DVD rental at Netflix, and I watched it. I got it right away. I thought it was amazing. The set design is all incredible, especially when you learn how they did some of the effects. It's even more amazing. Kind of his stance, what he's talking about with a more industrialized country, where things are going. He's making commentary on the Great Depression and his relationship with Paulette Goddard's character. I found very touching. It's very much a kind of symbiotic kind of relationship where they very much, it's not a romantic, well, I mean, it is romantic, but you don't think they're going to go off and get married. It's more two people who just have a very tender relationship, and that can help them out of the, lift up their spirits in the terrible times that they may be living in. So obviously, after renting this, this was a Barnes & Noble 50% off sale purchase. That sale is on right now. Criterion are also on sale on Amazon if you're looking to get some. Some of them are actually on sale on the Criterion website as well. So if you're looking to pick up some titles, now is a great time to do so. So Modern Times was marketed, at least, as Charlie Chaplin's first talkie film. His previous film before this was 1931's City Lights, which is a great film with I Have No Excuse for Not Having. Now again is the time, as I mentioned, those 50% off sales, we can all pick it up together. That movie did come out during the advent of the talkie pictures. It was also during the pre-code era. If you watched this previous video, that's when that came out. It's not quite as salacious as some of those movies, like Clark Gable was not in it. Barbara Stanwyck was not in it. Mae West was not in it, so it was not a racy film. Although Chaplin, as a tramp, he does plan to throw a boxing fight at one point for money. So it does have a bit of a controversial, I guess, element to it to justify its pre-code nature. But by 36, by the time we get Modern Times, the talkies are very much all the rage. Keaton and Lloyd, they're kind of pushed to the background. They're no longer the stars they were just 10 years ago. And Chaplin, he was a much bigger star than the two of them. He also had much more financial resources, so he could afford to take a gamble that some of the other stars couldn't. And they do have on one of the special features on this, they do show some of the trailers. The guy who does the voiceover on the trailer sounds a lot like Orson Welles. I don't think it is him, but it sounds like Orson Welles doing a voiceover for a Charlie Chaplin movie. But it's very much advertising, the talky nature of it. You're going to hear Charlie Chaplin sing. You're going to see a Charlie Chaplin movie that talks. So that's very much what the advertising studios wanted to push forward to you, even though Chaplin himself was still very much at this time against talkie pictures. And this one, much like City Lights, is kind of mocking the talkie pictures. In City Lights, when the people talk, there's like this weird kind of cartoony voice that goes on when like all the public speakers talk. And this one, the characters who have the actual dialogue are kind of the bad guys. It's the owner of the factory, the people who have that weird little lunch break machine, and Chaplin, when he does have to sing at the end, it's kind of like a gibberish song. So it's Chaplin's way of saying, look, I don't need to say any words to get across my message, to communicate who I am. And this one, being a Criterion, is obviously filled with some really great special features. The first one does talk a lot about the history of Charlie Chaplin, how this movie came to be. Due to his fame, he had a lot of famous people want to meet him. He knew Albert Einstein, he knew Gandhi, he also knew Henry Ford, and he toured the Ford factory, and he saw the assembly line, and he very much modeled modern times after the Ford assembly line. And one of the things he did was he met a worker there who was a perfectly normal guy who just went insane due to the kind of intense work of working on the Ford line, which is where basically with the story of the tramp in this movie, he follows the same trajectory that the character did in that. The best special feature in this is they talk to two people who work in visual effects and sound effects, and they break down how they think Chaplin did some of the things. Chaplin didn't, obviously he wasn't doing behind the scenes stuff. He also was very private. He didn't want other directors to kind of, or even the audience to know how he was doing some of his tricks. So they break down, excuse me. One of the most famous scenes of this movie is Chaplin. He's working as a night security guard in a department store, and he goes blindfolded rollerblading, and he's rollerblading along an area, and you can see that it looks like there's a big hole in the ground, that he's going to fall like 3 stories down and hit himself, and he's just barely about to hit it. And the visual effect guy kind of went through it frame by frame, and he saw that at one frame you kind of lose some of Chaplin's rollerblade. And they figured out the way that they achieved this was they actually kind of did like almost like a matte painting, but instead of doing it behind the way they would do matte paintings, they did a painting on a pane of glass, and they were able to use that. That was in front, and Chaplin doing the live action was behind it, and they were able just to, they obviously had to use a lot of light, so they could use a lot of depth of field on the camera, and they were able just to like matte that right into there, and it's really incredible. It looks perfect, it looks very realistic. They also did a lot of miniatures where they would have this miniature of, like, for some of the factory, this big equipment, very close to the camera, and then they would have the actors in the background. And so just by your perspective, the miniature in the foreground looks gigantic. It looks like this big factory, where in reality it was just like a little toy. So, and they actually do have one photo where Chaplin, he built a cityscape. This is actually from City Lights that they talk about in this. He built a little cityscape, and he didn't have enough money or whatever, or didn't have enough room to make it, a big, gigantic kind of skyscrapers. So they built the rest of the skyscrapers just all in miniatures, and they were able to do an in-camera composite, and it worked. Same thing with the factory. In this one, they actually did that was actually a matte painting in the background, I believe, like a rear projection, but they were able to match the background and make the factory even bigger. So just incredible stuff, just incredible artistic achievements in this movie. Chaplin, you don't think about this movie like you would like Metropolis, this big science fiction movie, but what he did was incredible. It looks amazing. You have the trailers, which I mentioned, where it sounds like Orson Welles is doing the voiceover. You do get a short film called something. Hold on. Can't find the name of it, but you do get a short film here by Chaplin, one of his earliest ones, which you can tell was he used a lot of the ideas in Modern Times. The whole thing is basically a scene at a restaurant, which if you've seen Modern Times, the final scene does take place in a restaurant where you get a lot of hijinks, where he's a waiter and there's like the in and the out doors, and he's constantly going in the wrong door, he's making mistakes. The cook, who looks like Rasputin, he's got the big beard, he's always trying to run around and chase him. So I think it's about maybe like 15-20 minutes, and so you're seeing how Chaplin in a lot of ways just took the ideas he had in that film and was able to use them in Modern Times just to make a great climax for that film. So Modern Times, I think this is, in my opinion, this is Chaplin's best. I haven't seen them all. I was actually looking him up on IMDb. I thought Limelight was his final one. He actually has about I think he has about 3 afterwards. He kept making movies for almost 20 more years after that. So there's still quite a few more that I have to see, and a lot of his earlier short films I have not seen a lot of. Sadly, for whatever reason, this is going to be a very short retrospective on Charles Chaplin. He's someone who obviously deserves a lot more, but I don't know. No excuses, I guess, on this one. But Modern Times, I think this is an incredible movie. Also, this movie, he's also directly commentating on the Great Depression, which he experienced while promoting City Lights. It was all happening at the same time, so he very much went out to town to promote the movie, and he saw the hardship. And so, when City Lights, he wanted the economic kind of recession to be represented in his movie. And a lot of times, you can always see where the tramp and Paulette Goddard's character, there's always these big factories kind of looming in the background, showing the industrialization of kind of small town America. So, in my opinion, this is a great one to start with. You can, Charles Chaplin, you can start with any of them, but start with this one, City Lights, Gold Rush. There's a lot, The Circus, there's a ton of great ones to start with. But for me, this was just an incredible movie to start with. Charlie Chaplin, I became a massive fan. And this is, in my opinion, this is an easy keeper. If you don't own this, I would highly recommend at least watching this. I think you're going to be very amazed by it, just all the achievement that they did for 1936. I think this is an incredible movie that, this is the swan song for silent films, even though you can still make a silent film now if you want to. But this was really at the end of the heyday by maybe the biggest star, or at least one of the biggest stars of that day, kind of saying goodbye. And after this, Chaplin does eventually embrace the talkie pictures. So we will have more on that in our next video. So that's going to wrap us up. Have you seen Modern Times? Have you seen any other Charlie Chaplin movies? What do you think of him? Jeez. And what do you think of his career? So until next time, be kind and rewind to each other. And remember, it's not a true home without home video. Thank you. Goodbye.